Okay, this initial part, I gave just a 30-degree line with this triangle just to use it for the isometric. So I made sure this was parallel to the paper and then just drew this line that the center line of the ellipses I might try to use will happen. So this I used with the isometric ellipse for here. So as you take a look, this would be for the top view of it. And then as you rotate it left or right, this is going to be set up for this section. So as I already sketched it out a little bit just to get the proportion of the tip, kind of this cone shape that we've done a couple of times, kind of rounded off at the first part, this ferrule. And just kind of doing the same idea, trying to put down a layout proportion drawing. In this case, the gesture is pretty straight with a line of action there. So I'll go in here and I'll put one line down just to get it started here to show you what I'm up against. And see this. So knowing this part's coming around, I'm just going to lightly put it in just so you can see the elliptical shape going out and around. So this is going to be kind of the beginning of this cone shape. And I can taper it down to the midpoint of which one I want to use. Just make sure it's lined up. If you're doing it freehand, just take a look at that design. And that gives me two pieces that I'm just going to touch the tangent line together with it. And then everything else can kind of fall into place. So the tangent on both elliptical shapes brings it to that point. So this one goes out a little bit. So I'm just going to make it a little larger. And it sets up this way. And it kind of tapers in underneath that piece. So that kind of goes up. And now it's going to taper over. And even though it's not a set line, I'm just going to put a elliptical shape there to help me set up the initial point. So just kind of let it blend in this direction, and now it's going to go further that way. So I'll catch up to that one, and I'm going to come back to this tip and just go to the smaller stylings here. And give that a little bit of a thickness. Just to show you, so that's kind of giving this edged piece. And within that is the tip that you're drawing with. Just extending it a little bit. And that's this piece right here. So it kind of has it actually has a round end, so I'm just going to put a circular shape in that piece. But now I have this edge kind of built in. So as far as trying to make it accurate, the template will make it pretty clear. Okay. And then just looking at the base for this selection. So I'm trying to measure it from here, but then I can always make it a little bit smaller to represent the perspective. And that just has a couple depths right there. And I did put a circle here, so I'm just going to connect these edges. So it's bringing that in. And bringing that piece in. So that gives me that taper pretty accurately. And then the last part is just a little bit more of the handle that goes all the way to the end. So set this up a little bit. Take a look at this section and just make it a little bit smaller. And from here. That one. And again, just using kind of the end template for this. And there's a piece of tape there. I'm going to mark that there. I might match it with a template shape on there too. Putting it there to hold it. And there's this handle right at the top. And just to give it a little bit more setup, I'm going to line it up like so. And drop this one down a little bit. Even though it's not using all of it. This is the edge. It's wrapping around this piece. Taper it up there. And give that piece coming across. So there you have it all lined out. So the line, shape, value is next, and then any color or texture. But that's where this piece is lined up. Any of the shading is now going to radiate from whatever this texture is here, so giving this bottom piece a little more tone. Following this edge, you can see a light source on there. Let's see if you can place that in there. Again, just taking that edge, you can use the straight edge to help you. This just gives me a quick line, kind of keeps it straight. Nicely in there. Wraps this piece around. Again, I'm just trying to go with the form, with the shading, even though it's just a tone. And then I'll build that up. And then this part too, this again is just like the cone you've been working with. And then just pick the shadows, shading there. Let's see. Now when I take a look, this has a little bit of dark value for the handle. I can add that. So see if you can find the edges right on the top. Here's the shadows, light and dark. There's a subtle variation in the value there. There. So here this is kind of a warped rectangular shape for the handle, tip for using the pressure tab. And that's where you want to find those edges and blend them as they go through there. The subtle changes showing the gradient, almost like a gradient fill there. See if you can plot that in there.